Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Attack on Productions. Fluf here, coming back at you with another deck profile. But before we get into it, make sure to do all the YouTube like stuff, comment, like, subscribe. Let us know if there's anything you want to see in the comments down below. Today we're looking at set 15 Kefla. I say Kefla, but the leader is Kale, but let's be honest, the star of the show is Kefla. So, the leader, just to discuss the leader real quick I'm not going to read the leader. You can look up the leader and read it yourself. But the really interesting thing about this leader is it kind of is a representation of what Kale does in the show, where for a while she doesn't do anything. And then all of a sudden she just explodes with power and she's all of a sudden this big crazy warrior. So the deck is a big representation of that. There are a couple cards in the deck that will place himself under the leader card. And then at the end of your turn on the front side, you can place your life. You can place that into your... You can place the card that's under your leader into your energy in rest mode. And then on the backside, you can do it during both players' turns. But usually, we're only looking to ramp maybe 2 or 3 times over the course of a game. If you're doing it more than that, you're probably wasting your energy by that point. There's no special awakening condition. Once you're at 4 or less life, it's a hybrid leader. On the backside, the only difference is that she has an activate battle that gives her 5,000 per card under her. So usually that's only going to be, 5,000, 10,000 if you're lucky and things work out that way. But that's the leader, and let's get into the rest of the deck. So let's talk about our Unison package. It's kind of unfair to call this a Unison package because it really isn't. And what I mean by that is the Keflas is a specified 15,000 blue Unison with 2 effects. Its +1 is an activate main, where you get to choose one of your opponent's battle cards, send it back to the hand, and then she gains 5,000 for the turn. And then her -3 is activate main. If your leader card is a blue Kale, which it is, then you're going to place this card from the field under your leader. Then if you do, you're going to play a Kefla with an energy cost with a power of 30,000 power or less from your deck. Now, we do run a couple targets for that, but we'll get into that later. An interesting ruling that came up because of this Unison is that if you resolve that -3, when you only have 3 markers, you don't get to resolve her effect. And I was playing it wrong in the game that we caught on camera with myself and Bancroft. So apologies for that. I have since remedied that in playing this deck. And it still functionally operates about the same. But you have to have 4 markers on this Unison if you want to resolve that -3 effect. So just keep that in mind. So we do run 4 of those. And then we run 2 of the Majin Buu Assault of the Agents of Destruction, because this card is bonkers in blue. And if you're not running it, you're probably doing something in blue wrong. So 2 of those. Now getting into the Universe 6 package that we run the Cantrip 1-drop SS2 Kefla. So for 1 energy, you're going to draw a card. And then activate main for 2 energy. You can place this card from your hand under your leader. So that's one way that we have, and the next Kefla as well will also have that effect. But bear in mind, if you use this effect to place a card under your leader, you can't play battle cards with 35,000 power or less that are not Universe 6. So no Android 17 turning the tide, no other generically good blue staples if you plan on using this. So your power has to come from the Universe 6 package on the upper end. So bear with that. The next card is going to be the 3-drop Super Saiyan Kefla. This is functionally the same as the other Kale on a 15,000 body. As long as we have 2 or more energy, we can pay 1 blue to play her from our hand and draw a card, or we can do the activate main for 2 energy to place her under the leader from our hand. So whichever one, but we just run 4 of those. Then I run 4 Kefla Universe 6 Fusion Warrior. The big thing with this card is when it's played, you draw 2 and then bottom deck 1. But you can play it for 1 energy from your hand by choosing a Keflas and a Kale that's in your drop area and placing them under this card and then playing it from your hand. So it's just a big way to get a 15,000 body on the field and get some movement through your deck to find pieces that you might otherwise need. She's also got an activate main limit 1 where you can discard her to find a Keflas or a Kale off the top 5 cards of your deck, but we don't really use it for that. And then our Kale target is 3 of the Super Saiyan Kale Universe 6 combinations. These are effectively like the Topo Trunks that was a promo a while back. They are a counterattack for 1 energy on your opponent's turn. And then if your opponent attacks with a battle card greater than their current energy, they have to put 2 cards from their hand on the bottom of their deck. So 3 of these. Then we're running 2 Vados. Right on time. These are dual attack counterplays. If your opponent is playing a battle card with energy cost 3 or less, it's returned to its owner's hand instead. And then during your opponent's turn, its energy cost is decreased by 1. So it's a counterplay for 2 that puts a dual attack on the field, which is really good on a 19,000 body. I actually prefer this a little bit more to Champa the Trickster in this deck. So Vados definitely over Champa. Then we play 3 Super Saiyan Kaba Proud Zenith. For 3 energy, while you have 3 or more blue battle cards in your combo area and or battle area, you can play this card from your hand. If it's your turn, you're going to draw 2 cards. If it's your opponent's turn, you're going to choose one of their battle cards with energy cost of 4 or less and put it at the bottom of the owner's deck. And then switch one of your blue energy to active mode. He is a dual attack blocker on a 19,000 body, which is pretty easy. This card is a straight upgrade to the 4-drop Bojack that was running rampant in blue. So as long as you can meet the conditions easily, and this deck does like to go fairly wide for little energy, so that's the only condition there. Then we run 3 of the Kale Rampaging Demon. Big things to keep in mind, it's a 30,000 double strike body that has deflect. And then if you're at 7 or more energy when you play it, it's basically full field removal. It gets rid of all battle cards on your opponent's side of the field, which is the big reason that we're going to do it. Otherwise, if you play it when you're at, like, say 5 energy, then you get the same effect, but it only affects battle cards whose energy cost is 3 or more. And then you put them at the bottom of the owner's deck. Then you place the top card of your deck under your leader. So if you play it early, you get the ramp out of it. If you play it later, you get the full field clear plus the dual attack on the field clear. Other decky cards that we run 2 of the Hit Deadly Vanguard, excellent counterplay and decent relevant body for having done the counterplays to 2 of those. We run 3 of God Sealing Technique Trunks, just because we can use its effect to counterplay without having to play it, so we're able to bypass the restriction on the Keflas earlier in the game. So just making sure that you don't ever play these, you want to actually counterplay with them all the time, which most people usually do. And then we're getting into our 2 Kefla targets. I run 2 Energetic Frenzy Keflas. These are great. They have an activate main on them where you get to draw 2 cards, then the start of your opponent's main phase, or is it the end of turn? This is the start of the opponent's next main phase. You choose 2 of your blue energy and switch into active mode, which is great for defense and resource management. It kind of turns your leader into a Cheap Man's SS3 reboot or Soul Striker, because you get to just restand 2 of your energy. So the turn that you play her, you're effectively playing her for 2 energy. If you play her with the Unison, by tapping 4, going -3, playing her activate main, and then you restand 2 energy when your opponent's turn starts. So 2 of those. And then the big girl herself, the one that everyone's hype about, SS2 Kefla Lightning Speed. What can I say about this card that hasn't already been said? This card is an absolute boss, and just because it has the arrival tag doesn't mean that's necessarily how we're playing her. I guess if we had 1 in hand and we paid 1 on to combo with her and then we could then pay the arrival if we had charged another one. But we don't run any yellow outside of her. So the main way that we're going to play her is through the Keflas Unison. And then hopefully we've got one in hand that we're able to discard to get her activate main effect and make her a real threat for the turn. So 4 of those is our game winner, is our game ender. People fear this card when it hits the field. More generic blue stuff. We've got 4 super combos. Just use the qualities because there are certain cards that we need to see on our hand at certain points over the game. So being able to cycle through our deck, and trust me, if the deck survives long enough to get to where it's at 5, 6, 7 energy, you will cycle through your deck rather fast, and you can come close to decking out, trying to close the game out. 1 baby hatch because baby hatch. Then I run 1, 2, 3 Sensu Beans because this deck really likes to use a lot of its energy in getting the ramp. So hitting the ramp effect and then swinging with leader, plopping a Sensu Bean kind of mitigates some of that. And also you're not as defensive during early turns. So if you get against something that's low aggro, that is swinging with a lot of 15,000 bodies, you need the defense that Sensu Bean provides. We're playing 1, 2, 3, 4 Dimension Magic because we're playing blue. 2 Child's Army Reinforcements because we like blockers and playing negates for free is oftentimes nice. And then 2 Sisters Determination to slow the opponent down if they're playing big stuff or if we want to add big power to our leader. So that in total is the Kale deck. You can't really even consider this like, did I purposefully build it on theme? The mechanics of the deck kind of cater it to being an on-theme deck at all points, no matter what. Just because of the restriction of being able to play only Universe 6 cards with 35,000 power or less. So keep that in mind when building this deck, so don't go throwing in any 4-drop Goku counters or Murray Chims, Aboonies, Goku Blacks, anything like that. So hopefully you liked it. If there's anything that I should change or consider differently about this deck, anything that you'd like to see me do with this deck, please let me know in the comments below. I'm always happy to oblige. But as always, read your cards, know your plays. Let us make the mistakes so that you don't have to, or let us figure out the rulings so that you don't get burned by them. And as always, Fluff out.